The Lakers signed DJ Augustin and waived Deandre Jordan to make room. They also signed Wenyen Gabriel to a two-way contract. These are smart moves and a step in the right direction, but it may be too late. The Lakers made no moves at the trade deadline, and many fans, including myself, were frustrated because it was clear that this team wasn't good enough and there had to be some changes. But the Lakers were right to not make any trades because these other teams were trying to fleece them. You can't make a trade if it doesn't benefit you, or worse, if it damages your team. And a lot of those deals would do so, at least in the long term. And maybe some people like LeBron don't care about the long-term implications of trades. But as a GM, it's Pelinka's job to do what's best for the team, both short-term and long-term. So now, they did make some moves. And I believe the Lakers ended up with a net positive after all these transactions. Now, I don't know what benefits them more, getting DJ Augustin or getting rid of Deandre Jordan. Either way, I believe they ended up better off than they started. I don't think Deandre Jordan is an NBA player anymore, and it's surprising that he was able to join another team. But he wasn't doing anything for the Lakers. He was just sitting on the bench. And when he did get minutes, he was doing stupid shit. Even if he happened to be playing well, he's playing a position that the Lakers, or really most of the league, doesn't utilize much. So really, anybody that they got to replace him would be a net positive. So initially, when I heard that the Lakers were signing DJ Augustin, I was extremely underwhelmed, to put it nicely. He's another undersized, old point guard that's a liability on defense. But now I'm starting to warm up to the idea. He's a reliable veteran point guard that can shoot and space the floor. And although he's not good on defense, he played for Frank Vogel, both in Indiana and Orlando. So he's at least familiar with Vogel's system, and he knows what is expected of him defensively. But what's even more important is that he's an alternative to Russell Westbrook. Up to this point, Westbrook really hasn't had any competition for that lead ball handler position, other than THT, who, let's face it, he does a lot of the same stupid shit Westbrook does. And we don't know when Kendrick Nunn will actually play. So now, you have a reliable point guard in Augustin that can play that lead guard spot if and when Westbrook does some stupid shit and is hurting the team. At the very least, just having him on the team will keep Westbrook on his toes and hopefully force him to play better, knowing that there's someone that could potentially take his place. One of the more minor moves, but one that could potentially pay off in a big way, is the signing of Wenyen Gabriel to a two-way contract. He's the type of player the Lakers have been lacking. He's young, athletic, and at 6'9", he provides much needed size at that position. He's versatile and is the ideal player to play in small ball lineups that can switch everything. The Lakers have lacked the size and athleticism in the wings to play effective switchy lineups. Adding Gabriel could fix that. He actually worked out for the Lakers before his draft, and he set the record for what's called the Lakers mentality drill. So in this drill, you basically just need to score as many points as you can in 90 seconds. And he was able to set the record because of his ability to shoot the three. So this is probably why they were interested in him. Now, I'm not saying that Wenyen Gabriel is gonna turn this season around for the Lakers. There's a reason he couldn't stick on teams, and the Lakers are only signing him on a two-way contract. But the Lakers are so depleted in that area, and they're missing his particular skill set in that size, that a guy like him could thrive and stand out. We've already seen it happen with Stanley Johnson. So the Lakers could be the perfect environment for Gabriel to have a breakout season. And even if he doesn't have the success of Stanley Johnson, he could at least allow guys like Malik Monk and Austin Reeves to slide back to their original positions and into roles that they are more comfortable with. They won't have to guard bigger guys and play better defense than they're accustomed to. At the very least, he's a fresh pair of young legs that you can just throw out there just to switch up the defense. It's entirely possible that he's a complete non-factor and just ends up warming the bench. But all they did to get him was waive Sekou Doumbouya, and he wasn't doing anything on the team either. So really, there's no risk. If he's really bad, he'll just be another South Bay Laker. Although I was a little disappointed that they let Doumbouya go, because he was another one of those wings. He was 6'9", and he could potentially play multiple positions on defense. Not much of a three-point threat, but still someone with good size on defense. But I guess the Lakers have more faith in Mason Jones, which is fine. But anyway, now they have Wenyen Gabriel. And if I understand the rules correctly, I believe two-way players can play 50 games in a season, and now there's less than 50 games left. So he could potentially play the rest of the season. And even Vogel himself said that he would most likely be on the main squad. So he could get plenty of opportunities to prove himself. The bottom line is that the Lakers got some new faces on the team. Whether they improve the team or not remains to be seen. But a change had to be made. I think it's clear that the Lakers aren't going to change the coach this season, so there had to be a change in the roster. And I'm glad that they added some youth, along with some veteran leadership. But we need more guys that are young, that are hungry, and have something to prove. Because most of the guys on the roster are old and washed up. A lot of these veteran players don't really care about doing the little things. Hustling for the ball, boxing out, making the right rotations. They don't care about these things because they already made it in the league. They made their money. Some of them even won a championship. So they're not going to go all out all of the time. They don't have much to prove. But these young guys, some of them are still fighting for a spot in the league. And that can be a huge motivation to play hard. Now, these new additions probably won't change much about the season. Anthony Davis is still going to be out for a while. He may even miss some of the playoffs if the Lakers make it that far. And this team isn't doing anything without a healthy AD. Even with a healthy AD, they looked bad. So in the grand scheme of things, these moves don't really mean much. But maybe with these new faces, maybe the energy changes during the games and there's better effort. Maybe with these fresh faces, the Lakers will play harder and the fans will be less likely to boo their own team.